Ay, qué rico, papi.
What's going on, guys? Josh and Bogies and Bullshit here. Episode number 6. Men are weak. So this first off saying, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for all the views. If you want to reach out to me on Instagram, TikTok, and on YouTube. On Instagram, it's going to be at JPD628. And on TikTok and YouTube, it's going to be at Bogies and Bullshit. First off, let me start with a public service announcement. By no means am I a professional in any of this stuff that I am now speaking. This is just my opinion. I'm not trying to offend anybody, men, women, all walks of life. I am not trying to offend anybody. This is me just speaking, my mind on certain issues that are going on. Basically, I just think that America is declining. Like right now, America is declining, guys. I was watching a podcast with Andrew Bustamante. It's a good podcast. He's a former CIA case officer, young person. He was on all the good podcasts, Sean Ryan Show, Julian Dory, Donnie Jones, Patrick Bet David. And he just talks about like American superiority and like how by 2030, we're no longer going to be the number one superpower. And he just talks about the way that things are going, the way that we are in society these days, that we are losing superiority in the world. And I believe it. And I believe it. And I think that us as men have a lot to do with it, right? Because nowadays men are weak. Men are so weak, it's like disgusting. And I'm not gonna say that I'm the pillar of a tough guy or I'm the manliest man in the world. But I do manly stuff and like I just think that like what's going on in the world right now is that men are becoming more docile and women are becoming more empowered and women are taking on that gender role, right? So one of my questions of the day coming up this week is going to be like, do you believe in gender roles and if that's something of the past? And I don't know, man. Gender roles used to be the man, provided, took care of his family, worked hard, did what he had to do, and the woman was like the nurturer, took care of the kids and the family. And I'm not saying that all women should be doing is cooking and cleaning and taking care of their family. Women are career oriented, motivated. Like I said in previous episodes, I have daughters, and I see that women, are smarter than men. We do a lot of dumb stuff, but like those gender roles, that shift in gender roles is what really is like changing us. So like men are becoming weaker. Men don't want to go to work. They want to sit on the couch and they want to watch TV and play video games and just do silly stuff. And those gender roles are like obsolete at this point. And even on both spectrums, a lot of women are no longer cooking and cleaning. Like, it's not like back in the day. Like, a woman was brought up by her mom or her grandmother you know, to be a homemaker and provide, and like nurture, raise kids. And, women are falling from that too. So I'm not just going to shit on the men on this one alone. Like, gender roles have changed on both sides. You got a lot of women that don't know how to cook. You got a lot of women that are too lazy to clean because they got other things. Oh, well, I'm taking care of the kids. I'm working too, and blah blah blah. Okay, granted, and I accept that. But you also got the men, on the other hand, that like don't want to go to work, don't want to work hard, want to work bullshit jobs for minimal hours just to to bring home a paycheck. So the gender roles have like shifted on both sides of the spectrum, and it's like, why can't we go back to the old days? Sometimes I feel like I'm such an old soul. Like I should be my age in the 1950s, like old school greaser, just wants to like ride motorcycles, work on motors, build things, tinker on stuff. And like, I just feel like I'm an old school soul when it comes to that. And I look for an old school woman, you know, I look for an old school woman that, does the nurturing. Like, I'm not saying, all you should do is cook, clean, and get intimate, but like I look for that old school, morals, that old school way of life, the old school thinking, because I think not just like the things you do is what makes you a man or what makes you a woman, but like those old school values, those old school morals, that's what made a man. That's what made a woman. Like, my grandparents, like, they were homemakers. They had kids, they cooked, they cleaned, they took care of the household. And my grandfathers and like my father were like the men. They went to work, they provided for the family, and they took care of everything else. And the way that we're raising these days is like, especially being a father to little girls. Like, I don't want my girls to have to rely on a man, but I want them to know the skills that they should do outside of the home and inside the home. Like cleaning, that goes without saying. That's just not because you should just be a maid, but you should be tidy and and organized. And I try to teach my girls to be organized and tidy. And then like cooking. Everyone's got to eat, right? So like, cooking, that's a good skill to know. Sewing, that's a good skill to know. But I also teach my girls how to like fix things. Like me and my daughter will like I'll be working on my motorcycle and she'll come over and she'll be showing, Daddy, can I do this? Daddy, can I do that? And I'll show her different tools. Because I feel like these are the skills that everybody should know. And I don't want my daughters to have to rely on a man, but I would hope that they would find a man that has those old school values, who is a man. And I think about that all the time. Like when my daughters are of age to start dating again, like to start dating, what kind of man are they going to bring home? I kind of bring it back to that scene in that movie Den of Thieves when like 50 Cent's daughter's like going to the prom and the prom date rolls up and he has like the bandana and 50 Cent tucks it in and he's like, let me holler at you for a second. And he brings him to the back room with all his boys, and his boys are like big, brolic, tattooed, tough guy operators that, were military guys, and he like kind of just gives him that convo like, this is my baby, like you better take care of her, and like this is how it's gonna go. Like I think about that when that time comes for my kids, and like what kind of man are they gonna be bringing around? What are men gonna be like in 2035? Like, because I already see the decline in men right now, that it's just so crazy to me, and I can only fathom what men are going to be like in those times. And it kind of goes hand in hand with like society these days, and like what these kids role models and like idols are. Like, look at this. YouTubers, I Show Speed, Kai Cenat. Those are not tough guys. Those are not men. These guys are like young guys that just like play all day and do nothing. Like they're not doing manly stuff. Like even the actors today, everyone's like soft, like very metro. And like when I was growing up, we had Jean-Claude Van Damme, cut, jacked, whooping ass. We had, Sylvester Stallone, Rambo, Rocky, Expendables, tough guy stuff, Arnold Schwarzenegger, pumping iron. Like these are the guys that we had, Hugh Jackman, Brolic, Wolverine. Like these are the guys that we had that were like the men, right? In this day and age, like I don't even know. You got like trap house music, trap music that these guys are like, skinny jeans, scrawny dudes, and everyone talks about, killing people and using weapons. No one fights the fair one anymore. That's just how it is. That's the society that we live in. And, I really think about it because I'm like, this is what we got. Like, this is what we got. The society that we have today is just making men weaker, making men more docile. Is it in the food? Is it in the vaccines? Like, I was talking on a live the other day, and I know a lot of people, didn't tune into the live, so that's why I'm going to hit it with this episode. But like, is it what's in our food? Is it what they're putting in our bodies? Is that making men weaker? Is it lowering testosterone, decreasing, drive and motivation, making people lazy? We're getting fatter. We're one of the most obese countries in the world. Like, is this society's like plan? Is it a conspiracy against us? Do they want weak men? Because if you bring it back to the old days, and I'm talking like the founding fathers days, right? These men fought to be free from England. They were like, yo, we're men. No one's going to tell us what to do. We're going to take care of business and we're going to be free because that's how it is. And I was watching something the other day, Steve Harvey was saying that, like, nobody is going to want you to be better than them. There's not one man that's going to want you to be a better man than them, right? And that goes without saying. Like I'm talking about work. I'm talking about your friends. I'm talking about people that you surround yourself with. No one wants you to be a better man than them. The only man that's going to want you to be a better man than them, or just in general, be a better person than them, is your father, because that's what they aspire to be. And as a father, I understand that. Like, I don't have sons to say be a better man, but like my daughters, I want them to be better than me. Of course, I want them to be successful. I want them to be the best that they possibly can. You know, wealthy, healthy, motivated, driven. Like, I want them to be the best kind. You know, that's always something that I'm going to strive for as a father. And like a real man wants to be the boss, right? I was watching this too. Like, I saw a clip of this the other day, and it was like, a real man wants to be the boss. The real man wants to own the company, wants to, be in charge, right? If you don't want to be the boss and you don't want to be in charge, then you're not really being a man. You know, you're being like, you know, just like a worker ant, like at that point, right? Because like a real man wants the best. They want the most. They're motivated. They're driven. I'm not talking about just tough guy stuff like guns, motorcycles, and fighting and all this stuff. I'm talking about man wants to provide. A man wants to give his family the best. A man wants the best. A man is motivated. A man is driven. A man doesn't take no for an answer. Like a man does what he has to overcome any obstacle and be on top. And that's not how it is anymore, man. Like, we could talk about, back in 1776, like we declared independence and these were men. They wanted to be free. They didn't want to be under the rule of anybody else. World War II, right? You had tough guys. These tough guys, some of them were like 16, 17 years old, faking documents just so they can go fight in the war. These were men, hard, stone cold men, right? Vietnam, you had the draft, but you did have guys that wanted to fight. And then, 9/11 came, and then you had guys signing up like rapidly to fight for this country. And now our military can't even get people. And if you see some of these clips of like our military like dancing and doing rah-rah stuff, it's like, what? That's our military? These are the men in the military? Like, come on. It's a different world. And like I said, I'm not the pillar of being the most manliest man in the world, but you know what, I look at it right now and I see what we have out there, and I can't believe it. I can't believe that we allowed ourselves to get to this point. And that's going to be the decline of the United States of America at the end of the day. If we're no longer a superpower, it's because we no longer have that motivation and that drive to fight, to be the best, to be superior, because that's what a man wants. A man wants to be superior. And, you know, we could talk about the society beat men down. And yes, society does beat men down, and those, in the old ways, it was like a man doesn't cry, a man doesn't show weakness, a man does whatever he can to, overcome any obstacle in his way, and a man suffers in silence, right? And now we talk about emotion. Oh, you could cry, you could do this, like, all right, like we're becoming more progressive, but like people take kindness as weakness, people take crying as weakness. And no one says that you shouldn't do those things. You do them in the privacy of your own home, and don't cry about everything. And like, yeah, I think men are weak. I think different parenting styles take place in that. I asked the question on my live: are we responsible for creating weak men, or creating weak, you know, a weak future, right? As parents who are raising boys, are you teaching them how to be a man? No, you're not. Even when it comes down to disciplining your kids, like I'm not, you know, I'm a grown man. I have little girls. I'm not the discipliner. I leave that up for the moms. I kind of just give them that look and a stern talking to, and they understand that they messed up. But like in this day and age, you can't even discipline your kid. Like I saw something. I was walking the streets of Brooklyn, and I saw a family. It was a mom and dad, a 6-year-old boy, and a 3-year-old girl. And the 6-year-old boy tripped his little sister on purpose. Right? It was on purpose. He shouldn't have did that. Right? The father smacks him in the ass. And the father says, "You don't do that. You don't hit your sister like that. You're here to protect her. That's your sister. You protect her, blah, blah, blah." Right? Understood, 100% agreed with the father. Some woman walking by starts saying stuff to the father. "I'm calling the police on you. You hit your kid. You beat him. You assaulted your child, blah, blah." Meanwhile, he just gave him like a little smack on the ass, right? To like not do that again. Woman ended up calling the police. The police came, and the police had to do what they had to do. They had to do reports, cover themselves, whatever it was, right? They responded to the complaint. They had to do what they had to do, but like at the end of the day, his father was just trying to teach his kid to have manners, be respectful, and not to do something. And it made me think about it. Like you can't even discipline your kid anymore. Now it's all about like tell me your feelings, emotions, and rainbows and butterflies. But let me tell you something. This world is not rainbows and butterflies, and I make sure that my kids know that. Right? Like everything is not going to go your way. Right? We do our best to make things work the way we want them to, but not everything's going to go to your way, and you have to be prepared for that. But you always work hard and you do what you possibly the best you can to get results. And everyone's like rainbows and butterflies, talking about emotions. Tell me how you feel. Did it bother you? Did it make you upset? Like you know oh, you did this and it was bad, but you did this because you're frustrated. Like come on. Yeah, okay, maybe there's some to that. Talk about it. Tell me why you did this and stuff like that. But like, they need to be punished. Take away their TV, take away their Xbox, take away whatever it is. They need to be punished. They need to know that there's consequences for their behavior and their actions. Because in reality, that's how it's going to be. And I feel like no one is accountable for their actions anymore, and that leads to weakness. And that makes us, everybody's a crybaby. I see like protests and all this stuff out here. Like everybody, it's crybaby stuff, man. And we need to get back to the morals and the values that we shared, that our parents had, that our grandparents had, because that's when we were the strongest. Andrew Bustamante says in this interview, like out of all the countries in the world, we are the most, juvenile, right? We're like the freshest. Some countries been around for thousands of years and, way of life for the longest time. And we're still in our infancy of this country. But like, I don't know. Men are not men anymore. It's crazy. I would say, if a man's over 35 and he's never been married, and he has no kids, you know, is that a red flag? I used to say, yeah, like something's up. Like, what is this guy doing? But now it makes sense. Like, you know, they know that, marriage and kids might be, not the best for the trajectory of their lifestyle, you know, but like as a man, you should be motivated, career oriented, have a career or at least a job that's like long term, a place of your own, you know, a way of transportation, and like you do what you have to do to, provide, whether it's for yourself or for your family or, for your significant other, whatever it is. And I just feel like America's declining, and we're our own worst enemy. We're our own worst enemy. Yes, society beats men down, but like, society's always beat men down. But we stood up and we fought and we overcame every obstacle in our way. And I don't think it's like that anymore. I don't think it's like that anymore. Men are more docile. Women are in their masculine energy. The gender roles have swapped, you know, and is it society, what we see? Is it in our food? Sometimes I think it's in the food. Cloud seeding. Is it in the air? Are they releasing stuff in the air that's weakening us as men, lowering our testosterone? I know guys, like I said on the live the other day, like I know guys that are like my age or in like 35s to 40, and their testosterone levels are like extremely low, extremely low. Why are men's testosterone so low these days? Is it because it's something in our food? Is it something that we're eating? Is it in the vaccines? Is it in our medication? What is it? Because I feel like maybe, it is something that's just causing men to be weak. Do they want us to be weak? Is the question. Is there an ulterior motive? Do they want us to be weak so that there is no men to stand up and fight like there was in 1776, or there was during World War II, or there was during, 9/11, and during all the wars that our country be in? Do they want to weaken us so that nobody wants to be in the military and men are not motivated to do stuff anymore? Is that part of it? Like, we can go down that rabbit hole, like I said, and we could talk about, cloud seeding and the experimentations and the vaccines and in our food, and we could talk about that for days. We could talk about that endless amount of days. It could be, like, I think so. Like, I don't know, like, men are becoming weaker, and that's going to be the decline of us as Americans. That's why we will no longer have American superiority, because the ideals and the values of the old ways are no more. It's a different world out here. You can ask women, like, are men the same anymore? Are men built the same? And that's going to be one of the questions of the day that I'm going to have for you ladies out there. Do you think that men are built the same as they used to be? You know, we'll find out. We'll ask ladies, would you prefer an alpha male, or would you prefer, you know, a submissive male? These are questions that I'm going to ask because, ladies are becoming more masculine and men are becoming more feminine, and that's just the way that society is shaping everything, and I'm not liking it. And like I said again, I am not an expert in any of this. This is me just spitballing and talking shit and putting my thoughts out there. But, like, I want to know, what do you think about it? Do you think that men are the same? Ladies, hit me up in the comments. Do you think that men are the way that they used to be? And men, feel free to hit in the comments too. Like, do you think that men are the same? Tell me a story. you know Let me know what you think out there. This world's a different place, and if we want to stay superior and we want to be valued, and we want to be bring it back to how it was in the old days, then we got to bring those values and those ideals back. So let me know what you think, guys. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you think. I do the question of the day every day, different things every day. Let me know what you think. Some are for the ladies, some for the men, but everybody feel free to respond. I like hearing what everybody has to say. Like, subscribe, follow me for more. Like I said, doing a video once a week, episode weekly. I'm going to try to do lives at least once or twice a week. Question of the day every day. Like, subscribe, follow me for more. Hit me up on Instagram at JPD628. On TikTok and YouTube, I'm at Bogies and Bullshit. And let me know what you think. Give me some topics for the question of the day. Give me some topics that you'd like me to speak about for, the weekly episode. Let me know what you think, guys. I'm really interested in what you guys got to say. I appreciate everybody for watching. Hit 30,000 views on one video the other day. That's great. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Let me know what you think, guys. And I know some of my subscribers are from other countries, so let us think what you think about men in America, from what you hear or what you see. Like, do you think that, it's not like, it used to be? Like, do you think that when you think of American man, you think weakness? We want to know. Let us know. We're gonna bring back the man show over here. We won't call it the man show because we don't need no legal issues, but we're gonna bring back a man show over here, and I'll get some guys on here, tell their story. Women, I told you, I'll get some women on here and tell me what you think about men, different parenting styles, life, work, divorce, marriage, relationships, custody, all that. We're gonna spitball and we're gonna talk about it all. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, follow me for more. I appreciate everybody out there. Stay safe, don't do anything stupid, and let's burn the shifts, baby. Have a good one.